Hey everybody, this is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com. We're back with this week's new. Wait, it's early in the week. What's going on here? What? Oh, you know what it is. It's that time of the year, folks. It is Free Comic Book Day. It's coming up this Saturday, May 4th, 2024, at your local comic shop. And is what we have done the last few years. I have read all except for one. I'll get to that in a second. There are 48 books this year from various publishers, as you can see. It's a very big stack. There was one book that was missing, Romeo versus Juliet, a Kill Shakespeare adventure. It might have been in the boxes, but I did not see it, so I don't have a review on that one. So apologies to Gemstone on that. I also really want to point out, thanks to Ryan Skinner, the owner of Pulp Fiction Comics in Long Beach, California. He's a big proponent of Free Comic Book Day. He orders the books. He allows me to get them ahead of time and read them and review them, so you can figure out what you should look for at your local comic shop on Free Comic Book Day. Now, as always, Free Comic Book Day is free for you to go get comics. Now, the comic shops do pay a nominal fee for the comics. They are not free to them. So please make sure that when you go to your local comic shop this Saturday to get some free comics, make sure you buy something while you're there, because that'll help them pay for the free comics that they're giving away. And also, a lot of comic shops, they have some have creators come in. Now, my local comic shop does something really that is really great for the community. They collect food and money, monetary donations for the Long Beach food bank. And so I know last year they raised, I don't know, it was like $200 or $300, and then they had like 4 giant barrels of like food, and especially with the tough times everybody's having, it's really important to kind of give back to the community. And I know the customers are really, for Pulp Fiction, are just fantastic. They always make sure that they, bring a good amount of food and everything. And it's really, it's a great thing. So definitely make sure that when you do go to your local comic shop, make sure you buy something. If they're having a promotion or they're doing something like a food drive or something like that, make sure you help give back, because you're getting free stuff. So, pay it forward. But as always, really support your local comic shop. So there's 3 categories that they have. There's reprint. There is the reprints is just pure reprint stuff. Then there is what they call preview stuff, which previews maybe a first issue or a graphic novel or something like that. And then they had the third category is exclusive original material. Now, I did find, going through some of these, some of the exclusive original materials, actually a preview of a book or a graphic novel coming out, but I'm going to go by with what they said it was, so we'll go in that category. So there's a lot of books. So once again, I want to point out that I won't really be pointing out the credits for the books because we've got so many to go through. But make sure that you look at the creators and stuff, and if it's something you like, pick up the book and maybe find some other books that they've done while you're at your comic shop, and then you're like, oh, well, they did this graphic novel, or they collected this comic that they did. So let's just get going. First up, we have Snoopy Beagle Scout Adventure. This reprints classic Charles Schultz Peanuts shorts, or comic strips, newspaper strips, and they're formatted for comic size. And each year they seem to have a theme for him. And this year it's Snoopy as a beagle counselor, and he takes other dogs out camping, and it's really cute. And you can't go wrong with Peanuts. They're classics, and and they're great for the younger readers and stuff. They're really easy to read and everything. Next up, we have Disney Villains Maleficent. Now, this reprints the first issue. Dynamite's been doing, they have the Disney license, so they've been doing villain comics like that, Cruella, Hades, Scar, And they're also doing, they just started doing some more hero titles. They're doing Hercules and Lilo and Stitch. So they've been really interesting. They've had, they're kind of not based on films and stuff. It's kind of original stories. I wasn't a huge fan of Maleficent, but I think it's definitely good for the younger crowd and everything. It's a good book. The art was really nice. I just thought the story was a little okay, but once again, it's a good free comic. Definitely, maybe for the younger readers and stuff like that, or especially Disney fans, it's worth checking out. Then we have next stories from the Atlas Comics Library. What this does is, before Marvel Comics, it was actually Atlas Comics. And so Stan Lee and a number of big creators, Gene Colan, and others did horror comics. They did humor comics. So this reprints three of those stories. And Fantagraphics is doing those doing those reprints, so kind of gives you an idea of what like the early days of comics and stuff. It's really some good stuff, just in that respect, but it's not going to appeal to everybody, and it's definitely not for the kids, so just be aware of that. We have the Asterix comics. This reprints the original French strips. They are translated into English. And there is a warning because of the time that they were made. There might be some things that aren't as kosher today as there might be stuff that might rub people the wrong way, but just be aware of that. It's not really offensive or anything like that. It's just it was done at a different time, and they are translating them as they were originally done and not changing anything. Asterix is actually a really good comic. I really enjoy it and everything, and it's not like it's that non-politically correct, or incorrect, I should say. It's that one's a good reprint. Then we have Mad Comics, or comic form because it's a magazine, but this reprints stuff from 1966 to 2022, so there's varying stuff throughout the years. This was probably my favorite of the reprints because it had just a little bit of everything. And Mad, is just a classic magazine. It's a real shame that they aren't. It does include some of the new stuff that they did when they relaunched it a few years ago, but sadly, it's just gone to a reprint book. But it's like I said, this one's got some really good classic stuff in it, and some of the newer stuff that's well worth checking out too. So that's really my big pick for the reprints. Then they have the final one for the reprints is the Worlds of James Tynion the Fourth. That includes excerpts from the first issue of Something is Killing the Children, Mimicked, and The Woods. So it reprints the first few pages of that, gives you a sample. These are all the books that he wrote for Boom. So once again, it's kind of a sampler thing. At this point, I think if this one's going to be for new readers, most people who are familiar with James Tynion probably already has these. So it was an okay one. I mean, I think they might have been better off reprinting a full issue of one of them. Probably I would have maybe reprinted Mimic, but because it's kind of one of his it was one of his earlier indie books before he became like the James Tynion. But like I said, it's just when they're excerpts, it's it is what it is, but it's still worth checking out if you're interested. You've read some of those, but you haven't read those books. It'll give you an idea. Okay, so now we're done with the reprints. So now on to what they consider previews. So first we have Disney's Encanto, which also has a preview for Pixar's Turning Red. So the Encanto is actually a full short story. So even though it's a preview, there's a Encanto graphic novel, it is a full story. And it was actually a pretty cute little story. I think this one's kind of interesting because it's a magazine size, so that's a little unusual. But I think my guess is that the graphic novel's bigger, so they're matching the size of the art for this. I really actually like the Turning Red because it had just a very unique art style to it. That was really interesting. And, once again, something for the kids, which is always, I think, really important because, getting younger readers involved in with comics, especially really just reading anything, is very important. And comics are a great gateway drug for reading. So I always look forward to what they offer the younger readers for this stuff. Then we have the Valiants. Which includes the Valiant story and a Ninjak preview. Valiant used to be really, really good. And I mean, recently they did the Exo Man of War, which was, had, good creators, Liam Sharp and Becky Cloonan and Michael W. Conrad. But their newer stuff just has not been that great. This was kind of okay. It didn't really, for me, wasn't particularly compelling, to make me want to go out and buy the books. So, but maybe if you're a Valiant fan and you're looking, the characters, you might want to give it a try, but didn't do a whole lot for me. Then now we have Boombox 10th Anniversary Extravaganza. So this has the first few pages from Lumberjanes, Giant Days, Zawa in the Belly of the Beast, and Midas. So it's really, kind of the first few pages of each book gives you an idea of some of the books that Boombox, they're kind of more, indie oriented, non traditional like superheroes, or they don't quite fit into a genre. And also a lot of them are aimed at a young adult age group. So there's varying things. One of my favorites was Midas. Ryan North wrote that. They're all pretty good stories. Lumberjane was a big hit for them. That one's always popular with the younger audience, kind of a teen audience. Once again, with the first few pages gives you an idea. I think this one actually is a little bit better than the James Tynion one, just because you get a little bit more. Giant Days kind of works better. Same with Lumberjanes, but once again, for the younger audience, it's good. Then we have Investigators Class Action, which actually is the first 28 pages of the graphic novel, so it's actually quite a bit. So it really gives you a good flavor of what those books are. If you have kids, you probably already they already get these, but if not, they're really fun little books, and they're just a lot of fun. It's a lot of like they build science into the stories and stuff without being super preachy. Kind of they're kind of learning, but they're really fun stories. So I actually do enjoy those books. They're a lot of fun for checking out. Next up we have Unico Awakening, and so this is based on the Ozma Tezuka manga. This is a new reimagined of that character. The art really is gorgeous. I really have to point out the gear who did the artwork on it, and it really is good looking. Now it's going to be a graphic novel from Scholastics. And I think that's going to be pretty popular with people of all ages, especially with the Ozma Tezuka angle to it. It was really, I was really quite surprised. I really like that one quite a bit. Next up, we have Initial D and Kiana of the Great Snow Sea. Now, both of these are previews. These are mangas. Kind of the first, well, actually, Unico, I guess, kind of somewhat falls into the manga. It's not, kind of, black and white because it's full color. It's kind of an amalgamation between a manga and Western comics. But Initial D and Kana are definitely pure mangas. Kana actually has a little bit more story. Initial D is really a very short preview, but has a couple behind the scenes thing. I'm not the biggest manga reader. I've read some. It's really hard because there's a lot that comes out, so it's kind of hard to keep track of. But I will say the Kana actually looked quite interesting. And the initial D is just, it's based on, the original manga series, and it's apparently this is a new translation that's coming, so that's a preview. So that's one of the manga books. I know a lot of people are looking for manga books. Like I said, the initial D there wasn't much there, but the Kane actually I thought was kind of interesting. Really intrigued by that story, so we'll see how that goes. Next up is the Loud House. Now this one includes 6 short stories. And it's also the smaller kind of young adult size book, so kids might gravitate to that because they're used to that size. But I like the fact that it was 6 short stories, so even though they're like a preview and they might have maybe some reprint stuff in there, but at least they were 6 individual stories, and I thought that was actually a really good idea. Once again, I'm not the intended audience. I enjoyed it. It was okay, but I think it's kids will definitely get a lot of fun out of it. So then next up we have Far Cry Call the Herd, which is based on the Ubisoft video game. This is another manga inspired, more of a amalgamation of Western and manga. It was interesting. I mean, there was it was kind of like I haven't played the game for like ever, and I played the first one like it seems like 800 years ago. It was okay. I think it didn't really excite me too much, but it the art was nice and everything, but it just was kind of okay. But if you're a big fan of the video game, you might be like digging it a lot more than I did, but it was okay. Next up we have Dying Inside, which is a preview of a graphic novel for the only thing I really want to point out with this, it was very interesting. I really like the artwork, especially because of the use of kind of color. It's kind of black and white with some color, but basically it's about this girl who is, she's trying to kill herself, but it doesn't quite work. And but you really want to be careful because it does have depiction of suicide. So really, there's you want to have a warning. There's warning on the front. There's warning. It's apparently one of the writers is Pete Wentz from Fallout Boy. So it was actually quite interesting. Like I said, a little disturbing, and it might be triggering, but it was interesting. So that one I was intrigued. I might kind of give a look at the graphic novel when it comes out. Next up we have One Piece a story. It also has a preview of Status Royale. So this is another manga inspired at this point because of the live action. Almost everybody on the planet knows One Piece. So if you saw the live action show and haven't really experienced the manga, this will give you a good example what what that show was based on. Because a lot of people are obviously familiar with the animated series, but it all started in the original manga. Status Royale was kind of okay. It wasn't my cup of tea visually. That's not saying it wasn't good. It was okay, but just that visual style of manga, it's kind of like a cute sort of thing. Just didn't do much for me. But One Piece was actually, the art's always really nice on One Piece. So, that I think was worth checking out for that. Then we have Unicorn Crush, which is a series of graphic novels, and this one actually has quite a bit of story in it. Even though it's a preview, it actually has good amount of story to it. There's like 23 pages of story. And once again, this is not necessarily aimed at me, but it was it's a nice little book and everything. It's got unicorns, so you can't kind of really go wrong with that. So once again, for younger readers, really good pick. The art's nice and everything. So and especially the other thing that's nice is a number of these are good for, either boys or girls. Now, obviously, girls might gravitate to this more, but hey, with unicorns, even though it's aimed at a younger female audience, I actually thought some of the jokes were pretty funny. So I think it works, whether you're a boy or a girl. So then we have Barta, by Ngozi Okuza. She's the author of Check Please. I really like this. I've been looking forward to this DC young adult graphic novel. Once it's based on Jack Kirby, so you have all that. I did really like this preview. Like I said, I've been looking forward to this, and it really was. It was as good as I hoped it would be. So it'll be really interesting when the graphic novel comes out in, I think, a month or two. So I'm really looking forward to that. So then we have Arkham Asylum, which is another DC young adult graphic novel coming. Now, that one's done by Yudi Macardo, who recently did the Shazam Thundercrack book, which I really was a big fan of. I really like the book. And, he had shown off some artwork, but this actually gives you the, first few pages from the graphic novel to give you much more flavor of how it's going to go, and I really enjoyed it. So it's kind of like bad guys animal sidekicks. So we'll kind of see how that goes. But I did really enjoy it, and once again, I was looking forward to it. And I'm a really big fan of DC's graphic novels for young adults and kids. They have just been really. Even if it hasn't appealed to me, because I'm not, like in the age group or whatever, I think the quality has always been just top notch on all of them. So, definitely those are well worth, those are kind of my go-to books, especially for younger readers. I always look to hand those out on Free Comic Book Day. Then we have a Pokemon, another Pokemon this year. It also has a Splatoon 3 story in it. Once again, it's Pokemon. It is what it is. I'm not the biggest fan. I did actually like the Splatoon story. That was actually pretty good. But it's Pokemon, and if kids are into Pokemon, it's a good little book. It's obviously manga, but and kids love Pokemon. Who doesn't? And I'm sure if you put Pikachu in it or something like that, yeah, everybody goes nuts. But yeah, it was pretty good. And then the final preview was Gannibal, which is a horror manga, which is from Ablaze. Ablaze has been doing a lot of great comics, and they're starting to reprints, bring over some manga. This one was really interesting. It was really, really kind of creepy. And horrors, really horror and comics in general, has been really a big thing lately. So, that one was kind of intriguing. I was, it's not Junji Ito messed up, but I don't think anything's that messed up. But, I think it's, if you're kind of looking for something different in, the manga genre, that one would be worth checking out. Okay, so now we have done that. So we're now to the really big ones. Like I said, these are said to have exclusive original material. That's how they put it. Now, some of them are previews. I think they're considered previews, but I'm just going by what they said. Now, go through. These are going to be some of the really big ones that a lot of people are really going to be looking for. Mostly like Marvel and DC do their like events and they kick them off here. So, and once again, the first one is Absolute Power Prelude. So this is a prelude to DC's big summer event. Mark Waid is writing it. Dan Moore is going to do the artwork on it. So this is actually a prelude that kind of, because the basic story is that Amanda Waller is, finally, going to, put the heroes in their place. And so she's teamed up with Failsafe and Dreamer to basically kind of, take control, take the world back from the superheroes. And there's also a little preview. There's like a 4-page preview of the actual first issue of it. That's going to be a pretty hot book. Like I said, the thing about it's a preview, but it's more of a setup story for that first issue. So then we have Marvel's Blood Hunt, which is basically the vampires invade the Marvel Universe. And so that's the basic premise. It's pretty simple. Look, Marvel Universe, heroes, vampires come to town. It does not turn out well for a lot of people. It was okay. The art was nice, and everything. It was kind of like, it was an okay event. It was neat that Dracula himself shows up at the end of the preview. But what actually was really much more impressive was the preview, the Uncanny X-Men, that Gail Simone and David Marquez is doing. That was actually really good because I kind of, the Hickman run was a little rough for me. I think it started off good, and then there was like 800 books, and I'm just not going to read that many books. And supposedly these new X-Men books are going to be, standing on their own. So hopefully that will happen. But I will say just that preview alone gives me a lot of positivity towards, hopefully these books will be, kind of much more, new reader friendly, and, you won't have to buy 50 X-Men books a month. That was kind of the better of the two. Blood Hunt was pretty basic. Not bad, just kind of basic. Then next up we have, I can get it, Flash Gordon. So what this kind of is kind of a mix of old and new. In the sense of it has all the classic, Flash Gordon tropes and everything. The one thing that I would say that they've really changed is Ming is more of an alien now instead of a ethnic person, we shall say. I liked it. The first, the story was actually pretty good. It's kind of, what it is kind of preview of the first issue. It leads into the first issue. It looks like it might be a kind of issues. Well, they do call it issue 0, so it is setting up the story for the first issue. Like I said, I like the artwork was nice, and the story was actually pretty good. And it's written by Jeremy Adams. He's writing Green Lantern, so that one was really, I'm a big Flash Gordon fan. Who doesn't love the 80s Flash Gordon film? And if you don't, I'm sorry, you're wrong. But I did like it, and like I said, it kind of had a modern twist, but it kept all the classic elements that made Flash Gordon, the strip and the serials, and it has those, but kind of updates it, but without changing it. That's the big thing. It does not change it. Then we have Gachaan, which over here is known as Battle of the Planets, but the original Japanese is Gachaan. So it has a preview of the first issue. There's a short Ken story in there that is, it looks like it's made for just this, and then there's another short story with the bad guy, setting up the bad guy for the villain of the Gachaan universe. Like I said, a lot of people know it as Battle of the Planets. It was really good. It does all the thing and introduce the characters. Fortunately, it doesn't have the robot because he was made for the US, so thankfully that weird stupid robot's not in there. But I liked it. I really liked the Ken story because it was a self-contained story. It was really quite good. Then we have Star Wars, which has 2 stories in it. There's a full return to Echo Base story, which was actually good. They go back to Hoth. They go back to Echo Base to rescue some of the rebels that have been stuck there since. That was actually a really good story, and the artwork was really, really nice. Excuse me. And then the Darth Vader was more of a preview, kind of leads into the next issue 46. It was an okay story. I think the thing is the Echo Base story was really good, and the Darth Vader one was okay, that's nice, not bad, just kind of okay. But I would say it's well worth picking up for the Echo Base story because it was really good and the art was really nice. Then we have Johnny Quest. I was very excited about this. So it has a preview of the first issue. And then it has excerpts from the first few pages of Thundercats and Space Ghost. Now, Space Ghost is coming out this week in comic shops, so that's why I think they're doing the Johnny Quest. Now, I'm a huge Johnny Quest fan, so like you better bring it. Now, I'm not necessarily, Joe Casey's he's writing the book, and he's one of those. It's like, I like some of his stuff, and then maybe not, the biggest fan of some of his other stuff. I will say he obviously has done his homework. It feels like Johnny Quest. The art by Sebastian Perez, it does a nice job. It looks like Johnny Quest. And but modern take, but still having them look like the classic, Doug Wiley artwork from the original series. I did really like it, so hopefully the book will continue to be good as like this preview alludes to. So but I did like that, and of course you have a Chris Samney cover, so that kind of sold me too. It's free, but I was very excited about that, and I was not disappointed, at least with a preview. Next up we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So this has a preview of Night Watcher. That's a new, I think, miniseries coming out. But there is an original short story. It's Splinter's Day Off, which is actually really funny. It's really cute. Because Splinter doesn't really get too many stories, so it was kind of nice to see that. The Night Watcher was kind of, it's hard to say. I mean, it was really, kind of, so these guys try to break into this bank, and then there's, the Night Watcher that stops them. So we'll kind of see, like I said, that was okay. I really like the Splinter backup, so it's well worth picking up for the Splinter backup, especially if you're a Turtle fan. But I don't think the Night Watcher was bad. I just think it was like, okay, where are you going to go with this? That's kind of what that is. The other big one that's going to be probably one of the biggest ones is the IJN Universe. Skybound has been doing, basically it's the Hasbro properties. So it has 3 stories. They're all original. There is Transformers, Void Rivals, and G.I. Joe. So the good thing is that the all the writers of these, there's of their titles, Daniel Warren Johnson's the writer on Transformers, Robert Kirkman is writing Void Rivals, and Joshua Williamson wrote Duke. And these all, they kind of tie into the stories, but they are separate, but it gives you a real taste of what they're doing with that IJN universe. So this is going to be a hot one, kids. I think a lot of people are really going to be looking for this one. And I will say that all 3 stories were really quite nice, and it gives you a taste of what they're doing in that IJN universe, which I've actually been pretty impressed with all the books. So that one will be at the top of most people's list, and after reading it, it was at the top of my list too. So it definitely earned its spot this year. Then we have Witches of Brooklyn. Which is now there's a graphic. It's a graphic novel, but this is a complete story. So basically, what it is the witches. They're younger. They're trying to figure out how to do potions. And she makes a potion, and one drop gets into her cereal, and what it does is makes her hair grow. So she has to the ants come home, and she has to try to hide that her hair is growing all the time. It's a cute little story. I really actually enjoyed it. Once again, not a book that's necessarily aimed at me, but I did. It was a really fun story. Definitely, obviously skewed a little bit younger, but definitely I was really quite surprised by that. It was a really good story, and I like that it gave you a flavor of the book, but it gave a complete story, which I think sometimes is really how some of these free comics kind of struggle, because you only get a few pages and it doesn't tell you enough. And this actually was really a complete story and gave me a good picture of what the graphic novel is. Then we have Curse Verse. So this has 3 stories. There's Bombshell and Tom Tom. There's Witch Hammer and Cemeterian. I will say, I really kind of apologize in advance, but this was one of the worst books I've read. It was really not good. The story, the saddest part was really kind of the artwork. The artwork was just really not very good. And it really pains me because I understand that people, work hard on scripts and stuff like that, but it was just not very good. This is definitely like, it's just skip it. It's just sadly just not good. Then we have Ultra Duck, which is basically, kind of not an origin, but it's like if Superman was a duck and he helped save people. It was okay. It's like in the back, the back, they talk about the creators who did it, and they were starting an animation studio. It's almost like one of those knockoff animations, not so much that it's a ripoff of like a particular thing, but it's like you can totally tell that it's like a very basic story to set up something. Like it's like an elevator pitch for, hey, if we did this as a feature, an animated feature, would you buy it? It's okay. It's not great, it's not terrible. It's fine for like younger readers and stuff like that. But overall it was kind of okay. Not it was okay. Then we have Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures. And it also has a Plants vs. Zombies story in it too. I have not seen this, these young Jedi cartoon that's on Disney Plus. It was a cute little story. I mean, it did its thing and everything. It's Star Wars with kids. Basically that's what it is. And then there's furry, kind of Ewokish type. There's some blue character that is apparently a Jedi too. The Plants vs. Zombies kind of mystified me because it's based on a video game that's just like a tower defense video game, and it was okay. I mean, the art's nice, but the story was just kind of like, okay. I don't know. It wasn't my cup of tea. It wasn't terrible by any stretch of the imagination. But probably for a younger reader, it's something they're going to like. So and once again, this is aimed at younger readers. So, it was okay. Like I said, the Jedi story was cute. The Plants vs. Zombie just didn't do anything for me. It was just odd. Then we have, where are we at? SpiderMan and the Ultimate Universe. So this previews the storyline Target Peter Parker in the regular Spider-Man book. It was okay. The art was nice, but it was just a preview, so it was okay. And same with the Ultimates. Now the Ultimate books that have been coming out, the Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Spider-Man, have been quite good. Black Panther was kind of okay. This did not really impress me that much. I mean, it was just kind of like the story was okay. The art was kind of okay. Didn't instill me with a lot of confidence that the book's going to be, something that I'll give it a try when it comes out, but it's not looking good. It'll, just it's an okay pick, just not one of my favorites that came out. Then we have Monster High, based on the toys. Once again, it was a preview, so it kind of like gets the story going, and then it's like, oh well, continue, and then read issue 1. There was a lot of kind of, the one thing that was kind of nice was kind of like they show they have like a who's who type. Here's this character has this. This is what they're a werewolf and they can do this. It was kind of okay. Once again, it's obviously aimed at a specific audience that's not me. Like I said, but the preview didn't really make me even taking out whether I liked it or not, wasn't particularly compelling to read the first issue. But there are going to be some people, younger kids that probably are looking forward to it. So it's safe for the younger audience. Then we have the Cursed Library Prelude. So it's kind of like it's an anthology of other Archie horror comics. So what it is there's a news story, and then they reprint, she'll read a book from a book, and then they'll reprint a couple pages from that story. And so it's like a framing thing. So it does have new artwork, but it's kind of a preview of other Archie horror books. the unfortunate thing is the Archie horror books used to be pretty good because there was Afterlife with Archie, Vampironic and stuff, and then it seemed like Archie kind of lost its mojo, and then like just started printing stuff, and the creators weren't as good as some of the originals, and it was okay. It was an okay horror story. It's kind of like a Tales from the Crypt type setup. Really, that's kind of what it is. It was okay. It didn't, not particularly overwhelming. Now this was the one, I think this might be new stuff. So this is Spidey and His Amazing Friends. There's a question mark whether it's new, because if you go to the Free Comic Book Day site, it doesn't say whether it's reprint, preview, or new. But this is probably the best thing for really young readers. That, and even the Peanuts, I'd say, because once again, it's Spider-Man. And there's a thing that shows you how to read comics. It's like I said, they're really cute stories. The art's really adorable. There's little coloring things and puzzles. So once again, if for really young readers, this book is really, it's really quite good for what it is. Obviously, it's aimed at very young kids. But it's not something I would buy, but the stories were cute, and I get it. And it definitely serves the purpose really well for what they're aiming for. And like I said, it is definitely, if you have really young kids, that's the one to definitely get for them. Now then we have Conan Battle of the Blackstone, which is, I guess, going to be a mini series that's coming from Conan, from the new Conan book. It's written by Zeb Wells, who's been writing the regular, Conan comic, which has actually been quite good. So this kind of sets up, or I'm sorry, it's Jim Zub, not Jim. It's just Jim Zub. Got the names mixed up. Apologies. And so it kind of sets up what they're doing in Conan and with some of the other characters, because there's Solomon Kane, Dark Agnes, El Brock, and Professor John Corwin. So it's setting up that storyline. It's a preview of that, with it's going to be happening in the mini series that's coming out. The art's nice and everything. I do like Zub has been really doing a great job on writing these new Conan stories. So that's worth checking out. Then we have Marvel's Voices. So there's one new story. Then there's a couple reprints, and then there's actually 6 reprints. A couple of them of stories. Excuse me. And then a couple, the rest of them are previews of previous Marvel Voices stories. Now I do appreciate, I think the idea of the book is better than the execution. Having different voices, ethnic, takes on Marvel characters. Then there's Marvel Voices Pride. I think their intentions are really good. Unfortunately, like this one, the news story is basically, an Indian Spider-Man. It's a take on Bollywood, making a movie and stuff. The problem is that the quality is just not very good. Like, sometimes the story's good, sometimes the art's kind of really mediocre, and it's just really inconsistent. And like I said, I applaud Marvel for like their concept, but the execution is just like, really, for me, it's almost like there's no quality control. It's like, oh well, this person is this and this person is that, so they can write this story and they can draw this story, and it's like, well, that's great, but can they write and draw? That's, I'm not saying that they're that bad, but it's just like, it's very inconsistent, and it's just, there's kind of just not a good standard level on a lot of these. But so that's my take on it. Then we have Doctor Who, which is this is the 15th Doctor, so it's a new story. It is kind of a complete story that is setting up a storyline that's going to be coming out when the book is coming out later, I think in a few months. So it's for Doctor Who fans. If you're a Doctor Who fan, like, it wasn't bad. It was pretty decent. It's pretty standard Doctor Who fare. And the art's nice. So, but once again, it's Doctor Who. You're either gonna like it, not like it. Then we have Hellboy, that has a complete new Hellboy story, and it also has a Stranger Things story. So they are completely new. Both are new stories. The Hellboy story is really, really good, and the art I really like. The Stranger Thing was actually a lot of fun. It was about the pizza delivery guy. It was kind of his story, and it was really quite abusing. So that one definitely is another one that picked up, because, like I said, I really, who doesn't love Hellboy, but that the story was really, really good. Then we have a Street Fighter versus Final Fight. This is Udon. They always do. They have the license for Capcom, and apparently they have a license for Final Fight. And it's basically, it's a full issue. It's a full story. If you're a fan of the video game, you'll like it. The story's okay. I mean, it is what it is. It's one of those. It's obviously aimed at a very specific audience. It's, once again, not great, not terrible, but I think it's more very, like, you got to be a fan of, like, those video games to really appreciate the comics. Okay, so then we have the preview of Katie the Cat Sitter, and then there's Max Meow, which is a new story, a complete new story. So that, like I said, the Katie one is a preview. It was quite interesting. I mean, once again, these are young adult books. I really like it. And the cat story with the pancakes was actually kind of really cute. It was a fun little story. I actually did like it. But so, for the younger readers, is definitely worth checking out for that. Next up, we have I Lie Popeye. So this is a preview of the first issue. This one really, for me, is very mystifying. Now, I am a huge Popeye fan, so now I'm not put off by doing a modern version of Popeye. That's fine. I will say that Marcus Williams, the creator, he does a good job. I mean, it feels like Popeye. The look has kind of a bit of a manga influence. The thing that was just the oddest thing about this is that most of there's so much dialogue that it's just like it just drones on, and it's just like I was really mystified. It's like I kind of got bored while I was reading it, because it's just like everything was just over explained. But here's even the weird part. So it gets to the point where they're telling the story of how Popeye lost his eye, or how he squints. And so then, this girl, goes through, and then it becomes like this villain who supposedly, made his eye disappear, pop out, or whatever. And then there's just like no dialogue. It's just like it goes from like way too much dialogue to like no dialogue, because they're just fighting. But it's like, it's just odd. It was really odd. But I like I said, I don't know that I can really recommend it, because just the fact that the thing is so over dialogue, it's just insane. It was just like I got so bored. It was really hard to read. It was really tough. That's what I'll say on that. Then we have tons of strange. So there's 3 stories. There's 2 complete short stories, and then there's a preview of a book. So there's Saturday Night Sip and Savor, and then there's the Oarsman, and then the preview is for Becoming Frankenstein, Elizabeth's Tale. The Sip and Saber is basically like a Star Wars costume contest in a bar. It was cute. It was fairly innocuous. It is what it was. The art was nice and everything. The Oarsman just kind of was mystifying. For me, it didn't make any sense. I have no idea what, it was a silent story, but I kind of had no idea what they were trying to get across. So that was kind of, pretty pointless story. The Becoming Frankenstein was quite interesting. I think it's basically it's his wife, and it's post the film. He's been put in prison and everything, and she finds his journal, and apparently it looks like she'll continue his work. It was okay. Like I said, nothing was particularly overwhelming, but like I said, the Oarsman was the one that was just like, this makes no sense, and like, yeah, I'm done. Then we have the Night Librarian, which is a preview of an original graphic novel. It was interesting. Like I said, once again, you're sometimes a preview can be good or bad. This one I think was actually pretty good. The art was actually quite nice. That was the one thing I definitely liked about it, and the kind of limited color palette actually gave it a really nice feel. So once again, definitely an all, more of an all ages kids book, but it was interesting. And then the final one we have is the Overstreet Guide to Collecting Comics, which basically tells you how to take care of your comics so you can be a millionaire on comics that are just worthless. No, but basically it tells you how to, if you want to take care of your comics, how to bag them, how to, take care of them, things like that. That is a part of comic collecting, is, taking care of your comics. But really the biggest important part is that you should read them. And you should get the joy out of the entertainment that it gives you. So that is all, well, I should say almost all of this year's free comic book day. Like I said, there was the one that was missing. Once again, I want to give a huge shout out to Ryan Skinner, the owner of Pulp Fiction Comics, Long Beach, California. It's a great store. I will be there Saturday, slinging free comics, helping customers, figure out what they want. Hopefully this review video has helped you kind of figure out what you should get. Really, like I said, my top picks are pretty much, we'll go through them. The Mad reprint, the Snoopy is kind of a winner. We'll say Investigators was a really good kids book. The Encanto was really surprising. I really like that. Dying Inside was very interesting, but that's the one that has the girl trying to kill herself, so it does have a bit of a warning. But I did really like that. Unico Awakenings, based on the Ozma Tezuka, was another win. Barta and Barkham from DC's Young Readers was a win. That was really good. Absolute Power is interesting. We'll kind of see where that goes with the crossover. Flash Gordon was interesting. I did like that. I think Gachan's got a lot of potential. Johnny Quest I really liked. It really, of course, the Energon Universe was a big one. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because of the Splinter story, that one I really enjoyed. The Witches of Brooklyn was surprisingly good. I really did like that. Another really strong young adult book. Spidey and Friends, I really want to point out, that's really for the really younger kids. That one was really that one's really good, especially for that. And the Hellboy. I almost forgot the Hellboy. The Hellboy and Stranger Thing was definitely a big win. You can't go wrong with Hellboy, and it's just a really solid, both of those are really solid stories, and it's definitely Hellboy for the win. But the Stranger Things story I did really like. So those are the ones that I think are really, for me, the top picks for this year. But once again, I don't think there was only a couple that were, I'm not even going to go over there, that were just almost train wrecks. But overall, honestly, considering there's 48 books, 47 that I reviewed, because there's the Romeo and Juliet that I missed, or we didn't get, we're not sure. But honestly, there were only a few clunkers, and you consider out of 48 titles, that's a pretty good batting average. I know, so look for the ones that you want, and once again, really make sure that when you're there to get some free comics, please buy something from the comic shop, because like I said, they have to pay for these books. They're not free to them, they're free to you. So definitely buy some stuff. And a lot of times, if you buy extra stuff, or in the case of like Pulp Fiction, because they're doing the food drive, the more food you donate, the more free comics you can get. So but like I said, even if you're donating free food and stuff, like if you go there and I'm there, and Derek's going to be there, everybody's going to be there, and but really just support your local comic shop. That's really what Free Comic Book Day is partially about is supporting a local comic shop, and really, for me, it's really getting kids into reading comics. That for is really really important. So. Definitely support your local comic shop. And if you're new and you're watching this for the first time, I do review videos of new comics every week. We will have one hopefully later this week. It's going to be a busy week getting ready for that, getting ready for Free Comic Book Day and everything. But so I review books, comics every week, to tell you what to buy, what to skip, what to what to look out for. So join us every week. Subscribe and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any episodes. I usually hopefully get them up by Friday. I know it's after Wednesday, but it's tough with a 9 to 5 job. But we do our best. I do my best. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you all have a great and safe and fun Free Comic Book Day at your local comic shop. This is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com signing off. Thanks for watching. So watch my regular show, and then we'll do it again next year. All right, everybody, take care of yourselves. Be kind to yourself and be kind to others, and support your local comic shop. This is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com signing off. Thanks for watching. Have a good free comic book day.